Let's talk money. The local bourse was firmer on Friday morning, along with its global peers, in fact, although global markets remained in choppy conditions driven by the tightening of monetary policies. Let's speak to Rella Suskin, Head of Research at Benguela Global Fund Managers, about that and more. Rella, welcome to the program. So it looks like a rebound is in our midst. Talk us through how those moves have played out today.
Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't call it a rebound quite yet. It's possibly just going to be a temporary short improvement in markets. The main thing driving the improvement in markets today is Jerome Powell, the US Fed chairman, spoke yesterday, really trying to reassure markets that interest rates in the US are going to increase by another 50 basis points and not the 75 basis points that many analysts in the markets was expecting, given the high inflation that we're seeing globally. Whether that's still possible and whether more interest rates increases will still be needed after that 50 basis point increase is what is under question. The inflation we're seeing globally are really being driven by structural factors that are likely to continue to persist.
Let's talk about Bitcoin, because I'm hearing that it's set to record a losing streak because of crypto assets which have come under pressure. Sounds a bit like a scam, but on the off chance that it isn't, is this the time then to buy in, or is there more money to be lost, in fact?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of things driving Bitcoin at the moment. I think one of them is related to equity markets. So we have seen a correlation between cryptocurrency moves and the NASDAQ or the tech stocks. So we've seen the tech stocks under immense pressure, and Bitcoin has done the same. There has been a bit of news in the cryptocurrency space where one of the stable coins called Terra USD has become unpegged to the dollar, which it previously was. And so its associated cryptocurrency called Luna has crashed to zero, and that's caused a lot of uncertainty in the market. Whether there's space for Bitcoin to come down further, that is still possible. I suppose one of the things to look at is the cost of mining Bitcoin, and the electricity cost does suggest that there is still downside to Bitcoin before it becomes an interesting time to buy.
Let's talk about York Timber, warning of a revenue hit at the back of more than a 3-week-long strike. How are the numbers looking?
Yeah, so I mean, the plant at which the strike is happening is very significant to York Timber. It contributes about 50% to the group's revenue. So, you know, a continuation of the strike can be quite material for the group's results when it comes to year end. The strike is really on one matter, on job grading. The company hasn't really said much more detail around that, other than that they were in the process with the CCMA discussing with their NUMSA members. However, it has turned into a legal strike, and York is looking to let some of these employees go as they're allowed to, given that it is an illegal strike.
And internationally, some news talk about where KPMG is related, now facing a fine after admitting it misled regulators during spot checks on audits of the construction group Carillion, but not just that, software firm Regenesis as well. What happened?
Yeah, so KPMG, they've been fined £14.4 million. The fine was actually supposed to be £20 million, which would have made it the highest historic fine in history within the sector. But KPMG has been working well with the courts. The CEO of KPMG is certainly trying to save the brands, doing all that they can to give them all the information they need in this investigation. What really occurred here is that some employees in KPMG, and it really is just a small group of them, they were accused of creating false meeting minutes, false Excel spreadsheets, and of substantiating goodwill balances for this Carillion group. This goes back to 2016. And then they submitted these false documents to the Financial Reporting Council in the UK after Carillion collapsed. And so, that really is the key thing under investigation. And this obviously follows Carillion's large collapse. I mean, it was the second largest construction industry or business in the UK, and suddenly out of nowhere it collapsed overnight.